Hi, I'm David Fleming from the Disciples Ignited YouTube channel, where we're focused on Jesus, advancing his kingdom, and preparing his disciples. Now, we're going to continue talking about the revival outpouring that took place in London in the 1990s. And we started our first video concerning that revival yesterday. So this is a continuation. Well, the news of what happened at the Holy Trinity Brompton Church quickly spread throughout England as audio tapes of the evening services were circulated in over 1,000 churches of all kinds throughout the nation. Well, the events were also written about in the newspapers of the country, the Sunday Telegraph, the Daily Mail, the Independent, and the Times, which gave the revival outpouring wide coverage over all the nation. Well, in the weeks that followed, hundreds of ministers visited Holy Trinity Brompton and ended up taking the revival fire back with them to their own churches. So it wasn't long before hundreds of churches throughout England were experiencing the most intense spiritual fervor that they had ever known. Now, at the beginning of the revival outpouring, Sandy Miller, who was a vicar of Holy Trinity Brompton, wrote the following account to his congregation at Holy Trinity. And this is what he wrote. We had begun to see an astonishing outpouring of the Holy Spirit upon our own church and congregation. It seems to be a spontaneous work of the Holy Spirit, and there are certainly some very surprising manifestations of the Spirit, excitedly reminiscent of accounts of earlier revivals and movements of God's Spirit. Some of the manifestations include prolonged laughter, totally unself-conscious for the most part, and an inexpressible and glorious joy as written about in 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 8. For some, it is prolonged weeping and crying, and a sense of conviction and a desire for forgiveness, peace, and purity with God. For others, it seems to be the silent reception of the Spirit of God, sometimes leading to falling down and sometimes standing up, sometimes kneeling, sometimes sitting. There are great varieties of the manifestations of the Spirit. They are breaking out both during services and outside them in homes and offices. At times, they're easy to explain and handle, and at other times, they're much harder and more complicated. Well, he went on to write, but the essence of it is this. God was on the move. And the very same type of physical phenomena that was occurring at the very same time at Airport Vineyard Church was also being experienced at Holy Trinity Brompton in England. Yet, the most important feature of both of these revival outpourings that were occurring at the same time was a zealous love for Jesus that was being imparted into the hearts of those who participated in the services. I love what Helena Mumford wrote about it. She said, and I quote, "The power of Jesus is so great, and the person of Jesus is so preoccupying, and the passion for Jesus is on the increase to such a degree that it is a wonderful thing. I believe the Lord is pouring his Spirit out upon the church so that we should fall in love with the Father and his Son." Well said. Well said. There's so much more to share with you, but we're going to be ending up our studies on revival outpourings as we close on the revival outpouring that took place at Brownsville Revival in Pensacola. So join me tomorrow as we discuss this.